like to welcome everyone out this evening to our regularly scheduled City Council meeting. It is July 21st, 2025, and it's just after 6 p.m. So we will begin our meeting this evening with an invocation offered by Pastor Lucas Scherson of Faith Lutheran Church. Is it Scherson? Is he here? I do not see him. I was going to have your wife, but it looks like she's busy knitting, so I think you get the honor, Pastor Porter. If you please stand for the prayer and then remain standing afterwards for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time and place. We thank you for this intersection of our secular world and, Father, the spiritual world. We know that you are here. You're bringing your wisdom. Father, may we understand your heart for this city. And, Father, tonight I pray for my friends up here on the dais. I pray for my friends who have been appointed into certain positions across the city. Father, I know that they face a lot of criticism. And Father, I pray for anyone that may have lost part of the joy of the job. Father, would you restore that to them as they continue to serve our city? We thank you for your goodness to us, Father. This is a splendid city. It's organized, it's well run. We have things to learn and a long way to go, but you have given us a grand adventure. For these things, we give you our thanks. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much, Jim. We appreciate that. Madam Clerk, if you would please call the roll.
Councillor Doty.
Here.
Councillor Stodick.
Here.
Councillor Register.
Here.
Councillor Williams.
Here.
Councillor Allgood.
Here.
Councillor Dittenberg.
Here.
Thank you so much. All council members are present and accounted for. Are there any conflict of interest declarations from any members of the council regarding any items on the agenda this evening? Okay, very good. So with that, we'll move into our audience participation. We do have two individuals signed up to speak tonight on audience participation. So just a reminder that you are limited to 3 minutes for your comments in that regard. So we will begin first with Mr. Vance. Aaron, so if you come forward and if you could just state your name for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes.
Aaron Vance, 1814 O'Hara Street, Caldwell, Idaho. I'm here today. I would like to talk to you about the recent sign code change that was passed in April. I don't have a lot of time to talk, so I went ahead and printed off some stuff for you guys. Share that with you.
And we'll go ahead and refire up your 3 minutes so
Thank
that
you,
you
I
don't
appreciate
lose
that.
the time.
As it'll say in the packet, I mean, and I know a lot of you, I've talked to many of you. I've been doing this for 20 years myself. My family has been doing signs in Caldwell since 1972. The actual first location of that shop was actually where this building sits right now. The new code, I have some concerns about it as it pertains to business in Caldwell. Because of my job, I constantly get to speak with business owners and new businesses coming in, businesses that are already here. And the comments and things that I'm hearing are not good when it comes to the signage and other things. So I can't speak to every portion of the code. I know this code pretty well because over the years, my mother was on Planning and Zoning Commission. She worked with a lot of you over the years. We have been informed on the code change before it happened, and this specific code change, we were not. It caught us blindside when we tried to put in a permit for two identical signs, one in Nampa, one in Caldwell, for Falcon Ridge Elementary and Warhawk Elementary, as it states in the packet. We put that in February, and because of the restrictions and the amount of information needed by Caldwell, that sign got stalled all the way until the code change went into play, and now all of a sudden the sign is non-conforming. Whereas the Warhawk sign in Nampa is already installed and running. This is a minor thing for me as a business, but I mean, Valley View School District is a huge part of the community here, and it's just one point of many that I could make to where this code is a little is a little unfair to business. You state all the time in the comprehensive plan that we want to grow Caldwell in a good way, and we are seeing Caldwell grow massively. With that, a good healthy growth would be a good % of business growth. And I can tell you that I don't think that is happening. As of my 60 job checklist right now, that's of course the last 6 months, only 2 of those jobs are in Caldwell, and they're both for Valley View School District. The rest are for neighboring towns and cities, all the way to New Meadows and up into Coeur d'Alene. So I don't feel that Caldwell is growing in the way that I think it should. And I just think that this is one more thing that it's a hindrance to the businesses of Caldwell and maybe can be tweaked a little bit. So I'm here today to ask for an action item for a text amendment to where we can maybe fix this code a little bit and make it a little bit better, a little more inviting to businesses, and so it can work better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, appreciate that.
Mr. Mayor,
Jane, oh,
Can I
yeah,
ask him a question?
yeah.
Aaron, what you sent on email, are those the changes that you recommend?
There's a couple there. There's, unfortunately, Councilman, there's many more.
Oh, is there? Okay.
The code itself, and my permit tech, Kate, is here. She is constantly on the phone with staff and trying to go through the code. I know the code is huge, and I know staff works very hard on it, and we would just like to help, because even it seems like from the own planning and zoning staff, it is a little confusing. I can tell you right now, through the own Parks and Rec Department, they came to me for a sign for the parking lot next to my building. And as the code reads right now, that sign is not legal. So everything that you would want, even for your own utilities and facilities, wouldn't be allowed. And so I feel like, I guess there's just gaps that can be fixed so that it can be better. Codes are needed, absolutely, especially with the growth, but they have to be fair and they have to work, and they can't be too confusing for everyone.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, did our people have any meetings with any of the people that produce the signs in our area to see what's good, what's bad, and all that? You
Yeah, I
know?
know that they had numerous, like open houses, things of that nature, but I'll let Robin speak to any specific meetings.
Mayor and Councilor Static, we did have 2 workshops that were open to the public, and they were advertised on social media and on the city's website. We also had a workshop, a 4-hour workshop with the Planning and Zoning Commission. And then we also had 2 public hearings, all of which were advertised.
Okay, and were there recommendations at those meetings of changes that were good or bad or indifferent, or?
There was no proposed recommendations for a change to the sign code.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, appreciate being here. Aaron, James, if you could come forward and if you could state your name for the record, and then you'll have, do you have any handouts before we start?
Well, actually, did you copy the letter to the council?
Yeah, so they
Okay,
did,
yeah.
we all did receive
So,
that. So,
yeah, James Carpentier, and I'm in Mesa, Arizona.
perfect. And then you'll have 3 minutes for your
I'll
comments
have
as well.
3 minutes,
So,
great,
okay.
thank you very much. So really, I'm just going to capsulize that June 26th letter that you received. And I really appreciate Mayor Wagner and City Council the opportunity to speak big time. So, but I'm here on behalf of the Northwest Sign Council. We work throughout the Northwest, and actually I work throughout the country doing this type of work, working with jurisdictions to help them create beneficial and workable sign ordinances, essentially. And, you know, we became aware of that change, as Aaron did, of the code back in April. And I'm just going to touch on, just real quickly, some of the issues. And I'm not going to touch on all of them because I don't have enough time to do that, because there's quite a few issues. The first one I want to talk about, Aaron talked about it briefly. There are conflicts, I believe, with the comprehensive plan and this sign code. 1.4, attract regional investment in the downtown core that increases Caldwell's appeal as a tourism destination. And the other one that I think it's in conflict with is 3.5, support and assist Caldwell's small business and local entrepreneurs. We truly believe that the regulations are in direct conflict with that, just because they will undermine, we believe, the opportunity for regional investment in the downtown core and not support the business community at all. And standards that are not reasonable or practical, 10.0206, prohibited signs. The section allows pole signs for freeway-orientated billboards. We recommend that pole signs be allowed with a pole cover as it currently is, as it was in the previous code, but that's not the case anymore. And let's see. And table 10.206, freestanding monument signs. The sizes for freestanding monument signs in the city as in the new code, it's 24 square feet to 60 square feet. These new standards for freestanding signs will result in many of the existing ground signs to become non-conforming, period. And some standards may result in signs that just aren't going to work very well, because those sizes for some of the signs are pretty small when you get down to 24 square feet. 10.0206, this deals with the electronic message center regulations. It allows 25% of the permitted square footage. That would range from 6 square feet to 15 square feet for signs in most districts, and then highway or freeway at 25 square feet. That's not going to work. It's going to be almost unsafe is what I'd say. They're so small. That's because the starting square footage is pretty restrictive. And then standards that do not represent best practices. In relation to illumination standards for EMCs, you've got 750 nits. We recommend a foot candle approach, which uses a simple foot candle meter, a lot easier to enforce, versus a nit gun, which costs about $6,000, and it's too much. It's really designed for other work, in my opinion.
So you go ahead and wrap up
Okay,
your
thank you,
last
I
thought.
appreciate
Yep.
that. We recommend that approach, which is about 1/2 as bright as 750 nits. And then I just got just a couple quick points. Sign code administration. The sign code requires us a special use permit for electronic message centers. We recommend that almost all signs be allowed by right with really good regulations. The special use permit allows for a lot of discretion, allows for a lot of decisions that may not be real clear or real fair as far as the end result. If you go, I don't have to speak any more about that because I have so much personal experience around special use permits and EMCs. You don't want to do that. It's a problem. Therefore, we respectfully request that the council plate this on the next agenda if possible as an action item to refer it back to the Planning Commission and to the stakeholders. In other words, not just the sign industry, but the whole, whatever interested parties in the community for engagement and to resolve these issues and many more. So the code is reasonable, practical, and aligns with the community goals. So, and we're here, just so you know too, we're here to promote and to provide assistance and really resources. So we would be there to help out in the process.
Perfect.
Totally.
Thank you.
So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Mr.
and
Mayor.
thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just one thing that I want to say that you touched on, when we are faced with all the growth that we've been having, one thing that we're quickly learning is we don't have enough commercial, and that's causing quite a bit of problems for the taxpayer because residential growth doesn't really pay for itself. So I join you in not wanting to make it harder for commercial businesses to come in to help offset some of the problems or taxes that the regular resident is paying. So earlier today, when your email was shared, the suggestion or the maybe it wasn't an idea, I don't know, the offer to set a workshop came up. So can we do something like that with this gentleman and whoever else from the community that wants to be able to come in and talk about the importance of, along with planning and zoning, and maybe come to some sort of balance?
Yeah, that's always an option if the council wishes to do something of that nature. Obviously, we had a couple workshops tonight to talk about things, and so that way we're able to get some input from the council. The staff can get that input and see which direction that they'd like to go and provide. So staff would be able to provide the information and answer council's comments. So that's always an option to.
I think
schedule
a
something like that.
workshop is probably better for us right now so that we can bring everybody together and get all those questions answered a little more informally. And then if it looks like if we're going to make some changes, then we would bring the action item instead of trying to do an action item and rush through it. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah, no, and that's always an option, so.
Yeah, and I wasn't suggesting to rush through it at all.
Yeah.
Just to have the
I just
public-
mean the way our
Yeah.
agendas are set, that
Yeah,
it
but I hear you. I
may
totally
feel
understand.
more rushed
Yeah.
than having a conversation in a workshop sort of format. And then planning and zoning can come forward and they can talk about how they came to those suggestions, and maybe there's a compromise with your organization, business owners, and we can just
Yeah, no, like I said, that's always an option. I appreciate that. Okay, so thank you again. We appreciate you being
Thank
here.
you. I appreciate
and
your
for-
time.
Appreciate those comments, and that'll always be taken under consideration. Appreciate your time as well, Aaron, to be here in regards to highlighting these for us. We can always look at that. So that is all that is signed up for audience participation. So that moves us into our consent calendar. Do we have a motion for approval of the consent calendar?
So moved.
And a second? Second. So it's a motion from Counselor Doty and a second from Counselor Stoddard for approval of the consent calendar as printed. Any discussion on that motion? With that, then voting is open at this time. And all votes are cast, so voting is closed, and that motion passes unanimously. And there's no old business, so that'll move us straight into new business. So the first item is a bill and ordinance, and this is for amending Chapter 4, Article 9, establishing the Cemetery Capital Fund. Ray Lynn, I saw you moving over there, so you must be the one coming to present on this.
So quite a bit of language within the cemetery ordinance about the duties of the treasurer, which are already allocated within state code and within current policy. But the biggest change that it does is it adds a sunset clause for 3 years, taking 1/10 of the cemetery perpetual fee and putting it into the cemetery capital fund for ongoing investment and improvement. But it's a 3-year time frame, so it starts in October and ends in September of 2029, I believe, or 2028. I think I forget the date that's in there, but it's set for 3 years because we did want to limit that and not hurt the perpetual fund, so. And then the language on the on the interest, that is current practice that we've been doing, and so it just cleaned up that ordinance to what we're currently doing, so.
Perfect, thank you so much. Any questions? Counselor Allgood.
Yeah, Ray Lynn, on taking the 1/10 out of the professional fund, retroactive, or does that start after this?
I have it starting in October, so it's not retroactive. It's starting in October of this year and lasts for 3 years.
Okay.
Excellent. I don't see any other questions. Thank you so much. So with that, this is before council for any other questions of staff or any discussion or any motions. Councilor Denver.
Mr. Mayor, I'll sponsor Bill number 48, ordinance number 37, amending Chapter 4, Article 9, and request for its passage by title only.
Do we have a second?
Second.
That's a motion from Councilor Denver and a second from Councilor Stoddard for passage of Bill 48, ordinance number 3700. Any discussion on that motion? So with that, voting is open. And all votes are cast, so voting is closed, and that motion passes unanimously. And that'll move us into action item number 2. This is consider resolution 258-25, accepting the proposal and scope of work with RBCI for public outreach and public relations services for the Linden and Ward Roundabout project. Haley.
Mr. Mayor, council members, as the mayor stated, this is to seek the professional services of RBCI. They will assist us with the public outreach of the Ward and Linden roundabout. This roundabout is near the completion of design, and we're getting ready to bid the project out. Excuse me. And we anticipate the construction of this roundabout to occur during this upcoming irrigation off-season, so start sometime this fall, winter. RBCI has done work for us in the past for the community outreach for construction projects. They're helping with the U-Stick project right now. I figured I'd bring the little flyer that they put together that I'm sure you've been seeing floating around City Hall. And they just do a phenomenal job of communicating with the surrounding businesses and the community of the ongoing construction in the area. And the contract was for $49,360.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Any questions? Councilor Allgood.
I'll just keep looking at it. So the last one of these we did was supported by LTAC. any support from them on this one, or is this out of our budget?
This is out of our budget. This is not an LTAC-supported project.
Okay, and we have budgeted, we have funds for this in some form or fashion?
I will let Ray Lynn confirm. We haven't set the construction budget yet because it has not gone out to bid, but I believe that the budget is available.
Yes. So this would be part of the total construction budget that was budgeted in the budget. So, and one thing I would add on this is that this is part of the city's Title VI responsibilities to really communicate on construction projects. But we set a new policy a couple months ago through ITD and the practice. That was kind of a requirement. So this is a requirement that we do have to follow now going forward. So I think you're going to see a lot more of these coming forward with the city and construction projects that are connected to transportation, so.
Okay.
Councilor Register?
Yeah, I was going to actually ask the same question. So the last time we approved one of these, we were being reimbursed, but on this one, we are not. Right?
That is correct.
So what are they, so I was just listening to what the finance director was saying about the responsibilities that we have for these projects. So what are they going to do for $50,000 that we can't do in-house?
Councilman Register. So I did pull their scope of work up. I would encourage you to read their proposal, and then you can, I won't read through all the nitty-gritty of it, but essentially what they're doing is they're putting together emails, website updates, these postcards, news releases. They assist us with construction detour maps and videos with drone footage to really just get as much communication out to the citizens as possible as we close down these major roadways and intersections. Certainly, it would be wonderful if staff could manage all of this communication, but by bringing RBCI on as a consultant, it allows staff to focus their energy on the construction issues that arise during a project, rather than focusing on communication with citizens. So it just adds a little bit more efficiency for staff.
Thank you. So the finance director, and this may be a better question for you, I don't know, but you said that there are requirements. So I have two questions for you. Are the things that are listed in here in their proposal required, or do they go a little over and above? And then the other question that I'm going to have for you is, if we're going to be seeing a need to hire a consultant for every project that comes up, or many of them, is it better to start seeking out maybe an RFP for a consulting firm to just sort of do all of them? So I'm not going to be comfortable approving $50,000 per project if there's going to be, 10 projects coming our way, or is that a need?
So with the proposal as it's written, the scope of work, I would say that is required. I believe, the specific types of communication, the postcards, the drone footage, to get that type of communication out is essential in these types of projects. As it comes to the RFP, professional services is one of those exceptions under purchasing that we don't necessarily have to go and do a formal RFP. However, with engineering, we do go out to create a list of recognized qualified professionals that are eligible for these types of projects, similar to what we do with design. And so we do get several quotes, and we do our due diligence to make sure that we're getting the best pricing for the city, even though that is an exemption that's not necessarily required for us to do.
Right. So I guess what I'm asking is, because I only see their proposals, so you're saying you had other quotes, but I guess what I'm asking is does it make more sense for us financially to have a PR firm that we pay for as opposed to paying per project?
So each project is going to have a separate budget and a separate funding source and specific scopes of work, and Haley could talk to that too, but not every project is going to need drone footage, but some of them are going to require drone footage just on the type of project. And so I would think, specific to each project because not every project's going to have this required, that we're going to need to do this. There's only specific ones that are tied to that. And so I would have to go back and refer to specific language within our policy to give you, how overarching we would want to be if there was a specific firm or something that we wanted to hire. And I can definitely follow up with city council on that.
I'm just curious if what's more cost effective, if there's certain requirements that we have to meet and we cannot do that in-house for whatever reason, if it makes more sense to look at something like that as opposed to paying per project that might cost more money. And then my last question is, I know impact fees are used for different projects. Are impact fees, do they go towards stuff like this, paying for these firms?
So it would have to be on the capital improvement plan specific for impact fees, and this project is not on the capital improvement plan. And so it would not be an eligible impact fee project. I work with the Public Works Director and Haley to make sure, like, when we budget for projects, if we can use impact fees, we will be.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not against communicating with the public. I think it's necessary, and I mean, I think we're seeing it right now with all the construction going on, just the sheer amount of, I had to use Google Maps the other day to get home from like Albertsons because I couldn't figure out where all the construction was and how to get around it. And but I appreciate that, the road construction has to be done, and then this is the weather that they do it in. So I am not against the communication part of it. I'm just trying to figure out if there's a better way to do it that's more cost effective, basically.
I can definitely explore that with Haley to see if there's other options that we can pursue.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate that. So with that, Resolution 258-25 is before the council. Councilor Doty.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I make a motion to approve the Resolution 258-25, accepting the proposal and scope of work with RBCI for public outreach and public relations services for the Linden and Ward Roundabout project. And not quite in the motion, but I also support what Ray Land and Councilor Register are going to work on moving forward.
Very good. Good. So we have a motion from Councilor Doty, a second from Councilor Dinber for approval of Resolution 258-25. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, with that, voting is open at this time. And all votes are cast, so voting is closed, and that passes unanimously. That'll move us into action item number 3, and this is for public hearing for annexation and preliminary plat request for annexation 25-4 and SPP 25-5. So with that, we'll turn it over to you, Joe. Again, this is for request for annexation of approximately just over 20 acres, 20.83 with an R1 zone, and then preliminary plat of Peregrine East subdivision for 48 single-family lots. So with that, it's all yours.
It sounds like you got it, Mr. Mayor. So this first project before you tonight is Peregrine East. Just for the record, Joe Dodson, Principal Planner here at the City of Caldwell. As noted, it's ANN 25-04 and SPP 25-05. Subject site is a 20.38 acre site, generally north of Orchard Avenue and east of the lake. I guess near the lake as well. The site does have public street frontage along Orchard Avenue and Roper Street at the very northwest corner of the site. Surrounding the site, there is undeveloped land to the east that is within the City of Nampa's area of impact, as well as the same to the south. Further to the southwest is undeveloped county land that is within the city's area of impact. And then directly to the west is Peregrine Estates, the parcel directly to the west. And then one more parcel west of that is the proposed Peregrine West, which you will hear after this one. And then to the north is existing Peregrine Estates as well as the Lakeview Elementary School. As far as approved developments within the area, As noted, there is Peregrine Estates that is building out, that was approved with 449 single-family homes at that time. They're about, I believe, in phase 8 right now that they have gotten through. Number 2 on the chart is the Charles, which has been discussed many times within this area of the city. It's just a mixed-use project with a number of dwelling units, dwelling types, as well as commercial. And then number 3 is Enclave, which recently came through City Council and received approval for 152 single-family lots and 5 commercial lots, which was a revision from 301 dwelling units and multiple commercial lots as well. As far as the requests before you tonight, I guess I'll just skip to this one. I don't know why I had that in there. It is, as noted, an annexation request for 20.38 acres with a proposed R1 zoning designation and a preliminary plat for the area outlined in red. Purpose of the R1, which is considered neighborhood residential zone, is to provide areas in compliance with the comprehensive plan that accommodate single-family residential, including accessory dwelling units, as well as townhomes and duplexes. The proposed development is surrounded by R1 to the north and the west, as well as some county parcels to the north and south. To the east is the City of Nampa area of impact. The proposed development to the east is actually already zoned within the City of Nampa as RS6, which is about their medium density residential zone. Staff does find that the proposed R1 and preliminary plat are compatible for this location due to the low density proposed as well as the existing low density in the area. As far as the comprehensive plan designation on the site, it is Neighborhood 2, which is, as noted, the dominant place type within the city in the new comp plan. The proposed development is consistent with this as it meets its density and is proposing the R1 zone, which is considered a compatible zoning district within the Neighborhood 2 place type. The proposed density is 2.36 units per acre, which is at the low end of the allowable density of 2 to 8 units per acre. And my understanding from the applicant is they proposed a low density to match the existing development in the area. As far as specific project analysis, they are proposing detached single-family residential, which is a permitted land use within the requested R1 zone. They're not asking for any deviations from any code sections or anything like that. The applicant is proposing 48 single-family detached lots with approximately 2 acres of qualifying open space. The proposed project has been analyzed for compliance against all code regarding landscaping, open space, parking, dimensional standards, etc. And staff finds that it's compliant with all codes and ordinances except a couple minor landscaping elements, which have been conditioned within the staff report. As far as amenities proposed within the 2 acres of open space, they are proposing a shade structure, a playground, and a pathway along the irrigation canal along the east, along the drain. And also on the screen, you can see just some of the conceptual elevations that they proposed with the application. As far as access, the proposed development will have adequate site access as determined by the engineering department, and all utilities are or will be available for the project as noted within their staff report. As far as notifications, the project was notified per state statute. We received agency comments back from Highway District Number 4 and Valley View School District. Highway District 4 provided specific conditions at the request of the engineering department, so those are within their staff report if they found those to be viable. And then the Valley View School District stated what they have been in letters lately, that they can accommodate the students here, but they're concerned with the overcapacity in general within 5 years or so, 4 to 5 years. No additional comments, whether agency or public comments, were received following the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. So the only one we received in response to this was from Nicole Montalvo, which was in opposition of the project and noted some general concerns with traffic and overdevelopment in the city, specifically in this area and along Karcher. Staff does recommend that if council approves this request for annexation and preliminary plat, that it be subject to the conditions as specified in the findings in the staff report. And I will stand for any questions that council may have.
Thank you so much, Joe. Appreciate that. Councilor Doty.
Just one. Planning and zoning also approved this or recommended approval, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended unanimously approval of the project.
Okay. Oh, Councilor Stoddard.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Joe, there's a lot of ag ground. This was county county land to begin with, right? Before it was going to be annexed in, or?
It is county unless you guys approve the annexation.
I know there's several projects there. There's a couple of $1 million homes there within that project. There's some right on the Napa-Caldwell line, if we do approve it, that are probably up in the $1 million bracket. Lone Star Development, probably a mile away, $1 million homes, right? And then a lot of ag in between again, and I just, again, if they were $1 million homes, I'd probably say it was a match, but they're not. I don't imagine they're gonna be $1 million homes, but it just seems like, again, we're misfitting something into what we have right now that doesn't really match up to what we have, so. I know you can't answer that, but I'm just saying, I
can't say much to that, no.
yeah, I understand. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions for,
Real quick, are these, who's the builder on this?
I do not know the builder. Typically, it's not something I ask at this development stage, but I know that the landowner is, I believe, Endurance Holdings or one of those subsidiaries.
That's fine, I can ask the applicant.
Yeah, they'll know for sure.
Thank you.
okay, thank you so much, Joe, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so that will go into our public testimony portion of this hearing. And we'll start with those in favor and the applicant, Bonnie Layton. So Bonnie, if you please come forward, if you could just state your name for the record, then you'll have 10 minutes for your presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Bonnie Layton with NV5. My business address is 690 South Industry Way, Suite 10, Meridian, Idaho, 83642. Thank you for your time this evening. I'm here tonight on behalf of Endurance Holdings, the property owner, to request your approval of our applications for annexation and preliminary plat for Peregrine East subdivision. And with that, I will get into my presentation. Just for a frame of reference, I know Joe did a great job, as always, covering this project. So basically, we are in an area of the city that is developing. As Joe mentioned, we butt up to Nampa city limits on our eastern boundary. And then to the north and to the east of us, we have some parcels of land that have already been annexed into the city of Caldwell. Here's a better view of that. So the blue parcel is the parcel we're talking about this evening. The large green parcel next to it has already been annexed in. It's part of Peregrine Estates 8 and 9 that is already under construction. And then again, further west of that, which you'll be hearing after this application, is Peregrine West. So all of these are designed to connect together and really sort of finish out this area of town that has been comprehensive plan for residential development. As you will see, here's another depiction of where the city limits are right now. Again, City of Nampa is right adjacent to us on our eastern boundary. And then there's the piece that comes down in the middle that's on our western boundary that goes down to Orchard Avenue. This is a map of the proposed or approved and proposed developments. So Middlebury South subdivision in Nampa has been approved. Peregrine Estates number 8, and I guess they've broken that into 2 phases, so that's 8 and 9 is in the center. Our next application, which is Peregrine West, and then you'll see Peregrine Estates 6 and 7 above that. We do have a couple of out parcels that were in the county that were parceled off previously that we are also adjacent to, and in our site design, we were thoughtful about trying to place larger lots adjacent to those out parcels. As Joe mentioned, we are Neighborhood 2, so in the newly adopted comprehensive plan. As he mentioned, Neighborhood 2 allows for a zoning density of between 2 and 8 units per acre. We believed that we wanted to stay on the lower range of that to help be more of a transition. Again, you can see from the site plan here, We're just over 20 acres. We have exceeded the amount of qualified open space that is required for the R1 zoning designation. We're proposing 48 residential units, no duplexes. That was a question that had come up. The common area lots, we have 10 of those. And then what we're requesting is the R1 zoning designation. Again, we exceed the amount of open space that is required for this. We've developed along our eastern boundary part of the regional pathway system. We worked with staff. This application went in right as the code was changing on the landscape plans, so there are some conditions, just trying to catch all of those. We're in agreement with all the conditions of approval from the staff report, and we'll work with staff to make sure that any of those minor comments are addressed in the construction document phase. However, so we've got this large regional pathway that goes along our eastern boundary. We've got a central park area with amenities in the center for our residents, and then also large lots, especially down as you will see. So south is to the right of the screen. We placed some large lots there, being mindful of the residents with the larger lots there as well. So these are very generous lot sizes, and will really provide connectivity up from Orchard out through Ropers. We also plan to develop this project in one phase. These are the homes that we will see on the site. As Joe mentioned, we are not asking for any variances or any waivers from the code. So we plan to build single-family 1- and 2-story homes on this site, similar to the homes in the area. Here's some additional pictures of what those homes will look like. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Good. Thank you so much. Any
Thank you.
questions? Councilor Register.
Hi. So I was thinking about this, and I don't know, I could be wrong, but when Councilor Stoddard brought up the homes in that area, have you been involved in submitting an application for this area before?
Mr. Mayor, Councilwoman Register, I have not been involved in submitting an application for this property.
I do,
before.
because I remember there was something several years ago that came up on Orchard, and at that time, many of us were against putting smaller single-family home lots in that area where they were acreage lots. So that wasn't you?
Councilwoman Register, that was not me that handled that application. I am aware of that.
Was it the same builder that is going to be building here?
I believe it was. At that time, I would like to note that the comprehensive plan and the future land use map was very different than
So
it is
these are,
now.
if that's the case, these are CBH homes then?
Yes, it's intended that CBH will be building these homes.
Okay, so I do remember this pretty clearly, if maybe you didn't do the presentation. I do remember pretty clearly, though, something coming before us from CBH, and that's why I was asking to make sure we're talking about the same thing. In this area with acreage homes and putting in, however, I don't know, however many, I think 95 homes together between this application and the next one. So I just wanted to make sure that was the same thing and remind this council that we were not in favor of that then for those reasons. And so I don't know what's changed. I realize that Planning and Zoning has approved this or given their suggestion to approve, but I mean, they've suggested we deny projects and we don't listen to them. So I don't know why we would use that as something we're going to listen to now. But anyway, I'll let you continue, and then I'll have some more comments later about it.
Thank you, Councilwoman Register, if I may add. Again, as I mentioned, the comprehensive plan was very different at that time. That was a few years ago. Since then, the infrastructure has been brought forward and it's more in the right place at the right time in terms of connecting the infrastructure in this area.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate that the comp plan has changed, although I had some concerns about it, and I don't know that it addresses the concerns of, that we had however many years ago of putting 90-some homes in an area that has historically been acreage homes, so, thank you.
Counselor Allgood.
Yeah, Bonnie, can you go back a couple of slides to where it shows Peregrine East, West, and Peregrine 8?
There we go.
So is Peregrine 8 already entitled? Is that already,
Councilman Allgood, yes, it is already approved and annexed into the city, and I believe it's under construction at this time, so
is that the same company?
It is the same. Yes,
And
that is correct.
is similar type of housing going there?
Yes, I believe that is correct. I think staff could be able to bring up a plat of that if need be to show. As you will see in this application, what we did is we provided quite large lots down on our kind of southwest corner. You can see those are extremely deep lots, very different than what's internal. And again, that was really to be mindful of those county lots that were adjacent to us, that were larger parcels. So, and I think those are 300 feet deep, I want to say, or longer. I'd have to look at the plat again, I apologize.
Yeah, and I think if you go back to one of the first slides, I think it did show the different subdivisions laid out. So go back, it was kind of zoomed out, but I thought I remember seeing, go back another, maybe one more.
No.
Oh,
So it's got,
maybe we,
yeah, if we were to look at a more current image, or I think staff can bring it up, you can see here how the annexation goes all the way down. What's already annexed is that green piece that touches Orchard, and then the red rectangular shape with the star is the piece that we're talking about.
So kind of what I'm getting at, though, is what you're requesting tonight, plus everything to the north, is all the same subdivision, all the same developer? Am I accurate?
That is correct. Yep.
So this is simply adding to the subdivision project that already exists?
That is correct.
okay, I don't see any other questions at this time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, we do not have anybody signed up in neutral, so we'll go to those signed up in opposition. Scott Tillmont, if you'll please come forward and just state your name for the record, then you'll have 3 minutes for your testimony.
Okay, Scott Tillmont, 4520 Equinox Avenue, Caldwell, Idaho. We've always been talking about sprawl. That's come up multiple times. You're now looking at two pieces that need to be annexed that are at the extent of the city boundaries right now. Do we really need to be annexing them in? I understand that they're part of a subdivision that already exists, but at this time we have enough infill projects that have already been annexed that haven't even begun or been approved. So land that's sitting within the city that could provide the housing. Do we really need to be expanding even more into more farmland? So what I'm speaking about on this will also be on the West project. So I'll only speak once. I just don't see a reason to annex it. Do we really need this property right now? We have enough infill. That's all I've got.
Thank you so much, Scott. Appreciate it. Charity Jensen. So if you could just state your name for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes as well.
Okay, my name is Charity Jensen. I live at 15088 Impact Lane, Nampa, Idaho, which is right in between the two projects that they are proposing to be annexed in. I'm here today not to oppose growth, but to advocate for the kind of responsible, thoughtful development that this council has already stated it wanted to see in our area. On January 17, 2023, during a public meeting, this council set clear expectations for future developments in this area by this developer. Councilman Jeff Williams described the standard of wanting to see exceptional and a cut above, emphasizing the importance of bigger lots and quality construction of the whole development. He said that the council wanted to see something better. Another council member agreed, stating plainly that the home value should match the homes around the development. Another council member even made a comparison to the Eagle and Star area, stating that this area deserves something that looks more like the $1 million homes you would go see on Lone Star. That set a clear tone. Quality matters here. Regarding the infrastructure, one of the council members stated, with the high schools nearby, a traffic impact study would be appropriate at this time. This was not vague. These were strong, united statements from this council about the kind of development our neighborhood should expect. So imagine our concern when we met with the developer's team and asked whether they had reviewed these statements from the council. We were told that the team had not even looked at the past meeting minutes or what the council had asked for. We were told that it would create too many constraints when coming up with a plan. When I mentioned Councilman Williams' call for bigger lots for the whole development and matching the quality of surrounding homes, the planner dismissed it. When we brought up our concerns about irrigation passage and rights, we were told they would get around to it. We still haven't heard back. It felt as though the developer had little intention of honoring the community's input or the guidance provided by the council, and instead chose to submit a proposal in hopes that it would go unnoticed, an approach that comes across as dismissive and disrespectful to both the council and the residents. When the plans were presented, we noticed that the young lady who typically showed us the plans was not there. This shift felt that it could be deliberate to help distance the new submission from the previous feedback and expectations. This shift felt like an attempt to sidestep the standards this council had already set. When we brought up the traffic impact study, we were told that they did not have to do one, completely ignoring what the council already determined was appropriate due to the presence of the high schools next door. Council members, I'm asking you not to let that happen. You made your positions clear in January of 2023. We are not asking for anything new. We are simply asking you to enforce the vision and standards you already stated. Let us hold this development to the level of quality our community deserves. We respectfully ask that any proposed developments align with the existing home values and lot sizes of the surrounding areas, such as the neighborhood and community, to help preserve the character of our neighborhood and protect the property values of current residents. Thank you for your time and your commitment to protecting the integrity of our neighborhood.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Betsy, if you could just state, I'm going to let you say the last name.
Cermak.
Cermak, thank you so
Hi.
much.
I'm Betsy Cermak. I live off Impact Lane. I'm one of 3 houses that this is surrounding. I just wanted to thank you guys for your time. Since the decisions was made back in January in 2023, I've learned a lot about the process. I spoke to a few times to the engineers at the planning department, and I've learned that this is our one shot before the final, and we don't get to speak again. So I'm going to be trying to jump around because I also want to address some of the things that Bonnie said. Of course, we don't want our value to go down, right? And I appreciate the council people that have remembered, because the 2023 is a while back. And I would like to talk about the traffic report just briefly, because when these developments come in small parcels, then I don't know if people are really addressing the whole large picture. And with us living off Orchard, there's a lot of speed going on between Lake and Midway. There's people passing because you're trying to turn into your driveway. It can be dangerous. The city council did ask back in January 2023 for similar size lots, similar size houses built. Her slide showed Paragon 8. It's actually Paragon 8 and 9, so I back up to 9. When I saw the final plans for Paragon 9, the lots were a tad bit larger, there is 5 homes going in there. So my questions for you guys is, who makes them accountable before the final? I mean, when I asked the planning department, they said that whatever's in their folder, they don't listen to the meetings, they don't watch the videos from you guys, they only go what's in the folder, so whatever's presented to them is what they make their case to you guys. I'm asking the city council again to look at the bigger lots, please, and the similar value. Does the city council have the authority to ask the developer to do single-level homes, therefore that our privacy is still not invaded? I don't know if that's something that we can ask. Also, I know that Valley View School District's always asked for their input, and they've always been concerned about the growth. So, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate you coming down for those comments. And that's everyone that has signed up in opposition. And so we'll go back to the applicant for your rebuttal. You'll have 3 minutes for that. And if you could, again, just state your name for the record, then your time will start.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Bonnie Layton with NV5 again for the record. First of all, I want to thank the neighbors for coming out and testifying. They did voice their concerns to me at the neighborhood meeting that we had. There was at the previous application, there was a different planner with a different firm hired. I don't know who that was, but I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant to represent this project. Again, I want to reiterate that what we did was take a look at the city's planning documents, newly adopted planning documents, to really help guide what this project was going to be. We understand that it's at the edge of the city, but it's still within the city's area of impact, and it's adjacent and surrounded by city development. City infrastructure is there, and along with that, I know that folks are concerned about traffic. There is a lot of roadway frontage along Orchard that we will be required to improve that will help with safety in this area. We believe that we have addressed the issues of bigger lots. As I mentioned, the lots adjacent to the county parcels are much larger than what we would typically do. Again, we are on the very low end of the density range for this future land use map designation. We are just over 2 units per acre, 2.36 units per acre, so we're really, really at the low end. We believe that we looked at the concerns of the neighbors. We looked at how this project contributes to the overall regional connectivity with the pathway along our eastern boundary, and then roadways through the project, as well as a good solid connection to Orchard. And so I understand where the neighbors have moved to an area of city impact like we have seen in a lot of instances, and we have really tried to put our best foot forward to create some balance between what the city's planning documents show for this area, as well as be mindful of what the neighbors, the size of homes, especially on some of these larger lots, I think can be pretty extensive. It's really not part of the planning code, and I wouldn't rule out that there wouldn't be some larger homes on these. I can't say for sure what those are, but they will be nice quality homes for this development, and similar to the development that surrounds it. So with that, I again appreciate your time this evening and request your approval of our project.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Councilor Shadegg, you have a
Mr.
question?
Mayor, Bonnie, has the developer made any commitments to Valley View School District relative to funds to offset the cost of more elementary or high schools?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Stoddard, I have not been involved in any of those conversations. I know that in the past, the the owner has made commitments to work with Valley View. As it relates to this particular project, I couldn't say.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Question.
Oh, yes, Councilor.
Could you go back to the slide that Counselor Allgood had you pull up just a little bit ago?
Is it
Yeah,
this one?
that one.
Okay.
I just want to look in, I'm looking at my Google Maps, so I'm trying to get my bearings here. So, Orchard, so nothing south of Orchard has, so Peregrine 8, I'm just trying to see it on my Google map for.
Yeah, let's see. I can,
No, that
there.
slide that you were on was pretty
Yeah.
good.
So south of our site where the star is, that's Nampa's area of impact. You folks do have some neighborhood,
Yeah.
one south of Orchard and some neighborhood two.
Can I just look at that slide again that you had up there originally where it had the labels? Yep,
There we
right
go.
there. That was
And I apologize, that is Peregrine Estates number 8 and 9. So it's been, I think, broken into 2 phases.
Okay, I just wanted to see what I was looking at here. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Councilor Doty?
Thank you. When was the last traffic impact study done? Or when did they do theirs, I should say? I'm sure there's several in that area.
Yes, so Councilman Doty and other council members, we did not require a full traffic impact study for Peregrine West and Peregrine East. Instead, we just had them do a memo to evaluate their site access points. This is because they did not meet the threshold that code requires for a full traffic impact study. But this was completed December 16th, 2024.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Councilor Allgood?
Yeah, Bonnie, one more.
Sure.
You guys are already building out there just to the north. We have had concerns of water availability in that area. Have any of your other projects experienced any delays because of water yet?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Allgood, I believe that there is a note in the engineering staff report that addresses that. It was a blanket note and that the city is working on it. We anticipate that by the time we are through 8 and 9 and start, again, this is going to be probably a year out in construction documents, that there shouldn't be any concerns, but again, we would work with the city's engineering department. Staff is probably better equipped to answer that question than I am.
I was just wondering if you had had any delays to date because of water with anything getting occupancy permits or building permits to
Not
date
that-
for that reason.
Not that I'm aware of. Staff might be able to answer that. I'm not involved in Peregrine 8 and 9. I apologize, but I don't think there has been any delays so far. Not that I've heard of.
Thank you.
Councilor Williams?
Thank you. I think I just have one question for you, and maybe
Sure.
more for staff, and maybe this is for staff as well. The question was brought up about irrigation. Is there an issue or problem, or is there a need to address irrigation that hasn't been addressed? And again, maybe that's for staff, but I'm sure you would have, I hope you would have addressed this with the neighbors as well. Is that, I don't know if that's even a clear question.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Councilman Williams. It especially comes up as a concern on our Peregrine West project. Of course, we will be required to continue to provide irrigation and not interrupt the flow for both projects. And so our infrastructure will have to maintain availability for the adjacent parcels. So it's part of our design plans. It's a typical concern and comment that we have, and it's a typical one that we address during our construction document phase. And it obviously has to be signed off on by the irrigation district, and any of our plans will be reviewed by them as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So if there's no more questions for the public, I'd stand for a motion to close public testimony. So it's a motion from Councilor Stoddard and a second from Councilor Register. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. So with that, turn it over to the council for your deliberation, any questions of staff, and any motions. Councilor Williams.
Thank you. Joe, I don't know how much you can speak about Nampa, but Middlebury South subdivision right there, is that already entitled, and do you know where they're at in that? It sounds like that's even a higher density development, and that's completely out of our control, but do you have any knowledge of that development coming in there?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Williams, great question. My understanding is that it is already entitled all the way down to Orchard, and it is part of the same subdivision that goes all the way up to Enclave. It's a very large subdivision, and it is in the RS6 zoning, which typically in Nampa has an average lot size of about 6,000 square feet, which is more dense than both of these projects proposed tonight.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I appreciate the two neighbors that came here and spoke today. I do remember addressing concerns before you brought it up. I forget who brought it up. Going through my packet, remembered this, and I specifically remember saying I wanted to see 3-car garages. I wanted to see better quality. My concern here today, especially though, is this is as good as it's going to get under our current plan. Anything else brought in on these lots is this good. It doesn't get much better than this. And we're already being surrounded by other developments that are out of our control, like the Nampa subdivision. I wish, and the applicant already stated, so I didn't ask and public testimony's closed, but the applicant's not involved in the Peregrine Estates number 8. I wish I knew that there were these bigger lots adjacent to these county homes as well, to protect them and their privacy and some of their concerns there. I don't know if you can address that, Joe.
Councilor Williams and Council, looking at the plats between Peregrine Estates number 8 and 9, and as well as what's proposed, Peregrine Estates 8 and 9 is smaller lots than what's proposed tonight.
But that's already approved.
Correct. That's not on the table tonight, but just as a reference.
Councilor Register.
Yeah, so initially I was going to talk about how, you know, I continue to ask for information and a worksheet about where we are for our services, if we're strained, if we plan on being strained, how this is going to affect our current residents, taxpayers, all that kind of stuff. I think that it's really important to be informed when you're approving things, and I also have concerns about the schools. I consistently want to remind everybody that if they run out of room in 2029 and have to bond again, that does put it back onto the current taxpayer or the current residents. It's scary almost to anticipate what might happen if they have to bond and a bond fails, or if we overbond and their supplemental levies fail and we can't pay for teachers. So I think this is bigger than just that one thing. Like I said, I appreciate that planning and zoning recommended approval, but they also recommended denial on some pretty big projects, and we overruled them. So I don't know that, I don't know where that falls in anymore. Traffic studies, I'm concerned that there hasn't been a traffic study done here, even if it's not required. I've said it before that I think sometimes the best experts we have in traffic studies are the people that are driving the roads. And we hear all the time that it used to take 10 minutes to get from point A to point B, and now it's taking 30. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a traffic study, and it's a free one. I'm sitting here writing notes about some of the things that are coming up, and you know, I'm just sad. I'm sad of what we're doing. I'm sad of what we're doing to our agricultural land. I'm sad about how we're planning out this city. And I'm sad when we say things like, well, they're building there anyway, so we might as well, or this is as good as it's going to get, because I don't believe that. I believe that that we're getting what we're getting, because even if we have a well-defined comp plan, we're still getting what we're getting because we just always say yes. And we don't ever put restrictions on developers to make it so that Caldwell is not just a dumping ground. And that's what it's starting to feel like. So, and I also want to remind everybody that everybody on this council, with the exception of Councilor Dittenberg, who wasn't with us yet, had concerns about this project the last time it came up, and the whether or not it fit into this neighborhood. And I'm glad that you came to speak and reminded us of that, because I remembered it, but I didn't remember it that clearly. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. But I think at some point we do have to just stop throwing our hands up in the air and saying we have to do something when we have state codes that we can look at. I've asked for workshops on it. There's all sorts of things that we can be doing to help mitigate some of the growth to make it better for our existing residents. And I hope one day that we do that.
Okay. Councilor Allgood.
Question for Joe. If this developer would go to larger lots and less density than what they proposed, it would fall out of compliance with our comprehensive plan, am I correct?
Councilor Allgood, that is correct, yes, but theoretically, because annexation, council can approve a plat that is not 100% compliant with the density.
Okay, so we would have to make some kind of variance for them to get to larger lots and less density.
An exception of sorts, more than a variance, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other discussion or questions of staff or any motions? Councilor Register.
Well, then I will move to deny the request. What number we're on? 004 and 005.
Okay, so we do.
Second.
So we have a motion for denial of the annexation request. So Councilor Register, motion for denial, and second was from Councilor Stoddard. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, so with that, then voting will be open at this time. And again, just for clarification, so your yes vote is a yes vote in regards to the denial request. A no vote would be opposing the denial. So all votes are cast, so voting is closed, and that motion is a tie. So just for the record, if anyone is watching, so Councilor Doty, Councilor Stoddard, and Councilor Register voted in favor of the denial, and Councilor Williams and Councilor Allgood and Councilor Dittenberg voted against the motion for denial, which that means it lands on the person in the middle, which is me, to cast a tie-breaking vote in that regards. So before I do vote, I appreciate everyone that came and spoke. The testimony that was given truly is appreciated for you to take the time and to come and to voice your concerns. And it was very well done and stated, and so do appreciate that very much. So as looking at this request, every application is unique and merits discussion and deliberation on its merits of itself, rather than of prior past experience, things of that nature. What is the best fit and feel for that area today? And so with that, my motion is going to be a no on the denial. And the reason for that for me is just looking at what is in the surrounding area with Middlebury South subdivision already approved, moving forward, and Peregrine Estates as well, that this area has changed significantly in regards to the development that's existing on that area and is continuing basically what's already been begun and moving that direction. So for those reasons, I'd vote in opposition to the motion for denial, which means that the motion fails, and then that would put it back on council for any other motions. Councilor Dittenberg.
Mr. Mayor, based upon the findings of facts and conclusions of law, I move that we approve case number AN 25-04 and SPP 25-05 and move for its passage.
Very good. So that is a motion from Councilor Dittenberg for approval of the request. Is there a second to that motion? So a motion from Counselor Dentber and a second from Counselor Williams, and this is for approval of the request for the annexation and for the preliminary plat with the conditions as outlined in the staff report. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, so with that, voting is open. Are we able to reopen that again, or do we need to do a voice vote? It's one and done. Okay, so Madam Clerk, if you don't mind, with a roll call vote.
Counselor Doty?
I think I'm supposed to say no, right, on this one? It was yes on the last one?
You got to tell me, I can't tell you.
I just don't want to pull a Counselor
So-
Allgood down there and,
So the motion's for approval, so.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
Counselor Stoddick?
No.
Counselor Register?
No.
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Dittenber? Sorry,
Yes.
all good.
Yes.
Counselor Dittenber?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, and so that is a tie as well. Again, this is a motion for approval, and so with that, I will cast a deciding vote to vote in favor of the request for approval, and that is approved at this point. So with that, I would stand for a motion to close this public hearing.
So moved.
It's a motion from Counselor Stoddick and a second from Counselor Doty. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that motion passes. And again, thank you to everyone that came out in regards to that request and to provide your testimony. With that, moves us on to the next action item, which is actually, this is action item number 4. So this is the housekeeping item for that, for the bill and ordinance associated with that annexation, bill number 32, ordinance 3684. Is there a council member that will sponsor that bill and ordinance?
Mr. Mayor,
Counselor Doty, or Counselor Dentber, excuse me.
I'll sponsor bill number 32, ordinance number 3684, associated with the approved annexation and move for its passage and its summary for publication.
Very good. Do we have a second? Second. So it's a motion from Counselor Dentber and a second from Counselor Williams for adoption of bill number 32, ordinance 3684, to move for its passage by title only and approving the summary for publication. So with that, voting is open at this time in regards to that motion. And all votes are cast, so voting is closed, and that motion passes with 5 in favor and 1 in opposition. Counselor Register voting in the negative on that one. And that moves us then on to action item number 5. And this is an annexation and preliminary plat request for, I believe, it's going to be the property directly to the west, Peregrine West subdivision. So with that, Katie, you were switching it up. I thought I'd see Joe when I looked up, so keeping us on our toes. Okay, Katie, the time
Thank
is
you,
all
Mayor
yours.
and council members. You're going to hear a lot of the same type of stuff. This is Peregrine West. Katie Wright, for the record, Associate Planner, 205 South 6th Avenue. It's ANN 2505 and SPP 2504. This was heard by the P&Z Commission and recommended for approval on June 11th. This project location is 16.57 acre site located generally north of Orchard Avenue and east of Lake Avenue. The site has frontage along Orchard Avenue and will have frontage along Roper Street to the north. The project site is currently surrounded by county land with some county residential. To the north and east is the approved Peregrine Estates single-family development, and east of this is the proposed, now approved Peregrine East single-family development. There are 3 developments within a 1-mile radius of the subject site that are either actively under construction or have been approved for entitlements. The applications before you tonight are for an annexation of 16.57 acres of land into the Caldwell city limits and a preliminary plat for a subdivision as outlined in red. Tonight's request consists of the applicant's proposal for an annexation with an R1 zoning designation. The purpose of the R1 neighborhood residential zone is to provide areas by zoning procedures in accordance with the comprehensive plan that accommodates single-family residential, townhomes, and duplexes. The proposed development is surrounded by R1 to the north and east, Canyon County Ag to the west, and the City of Nampa area of impact to the south. Staff finds the R1 zone is compatible for this location due to the low density of the area. The existing and proposed development is consistent with the intent of the comprehensive plan neighborhood 2 place type, and the proposed densities are in compliance with the comprehensive plan. The proposed land use is for single-family detached, which is permitted use within the R1 zone. The applicant's proposing 45 single-family detached lots with 2.36 acres of qualified open space. The proposed development Project has been analyzed for compliance with city codes and policies, and staff finds the proposed development is in compliance with parking, landscaping, lot dimensions, and all other zoning and subdivision ordinances. The proposed development will have adequate site access, and all utilities are available or will be available as outlined in the engineering staff report. Public agencies were notified and asked to provide comments, and the only agencies that had concerns were Boise Project Board of Control did want to just confirm that waterways will not be obstructed to the neighboring properties, which the applicant has confirmed that will not be an issue. And Valley View School District did state more elementary schools are being constructed, but that Lakeview will be over capacity in 2029. We received one public comment in opposition from Nicole Montalvo due to traffic and overdevelopment in the city. We also had Scott Glubay submit documents at the P&Z Commission hearing while he spoke in opposition regarding an agreement for street improvements in front of their lot, hoping the developer will be responsible for installing sidewalks on their property. As stated previously, on June 11th, the P&Z Commission recommended approval for the annexation and subdivision plat. And staff recommends that if the council approves the request, that such request is subject to the conditions as specified in the findings of fact, conclusions of law, and order of decision. And I stand for any questions.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Any
Thank you.
questions for staff at this time? Councilor Stoddard, did you have a question for staff? Or?
Yeah, was the commercial operation across the street from this operation notified at all, do you know?
Mayor and council, is that the church?
I know it's straight west of the church. I believe it's a woodworking processing plant.
Mayor and councilor, if they were on the 500-foot mailing list, then they would have been notified. We did not receive any comments from them.
Thank you.
Yes.
Councilor Allgood.
Yeah, Katie, these three subdivisions, 8, 9, east and west, will they all be connected? In other words, you can exit these subdivisions on 3 different streets is where I'm going? Is that correct?
Mayor and councilor, they are providing stub streets to connect to each other. If that's what you're referring to on this, it'll show the top of the photo, but that's going to be the east side of the property. That's going to connect into Peregrine Estates. I don't recall if it's 8 or 9. I want to say that it's 8. And I believe, I'm sure the applicant can touch on this as well, that Estates would stub into east as well, but I cannot be 100%
I'll ask
certain.
the applicant. Thank you, Katie.
I do want to note that Roper's Street, which is going to be seen on the left side of the screen, that's going to be developed through, and I believe connects to all 3 of those developments, Estates, east, and west as well.
Perfect, thank you.
Yes.
Councilor Dittenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Katie, looking at this, and maybe the applicant can address this, are we sure we like the way these parks are laid out?
Mayor and councilor, I can't touch on if necessarily staff has an opinion about where they're laid out. I do want to note that they are providing a regional pathway along the canal, which is going to be on their west, which right now is shown on the bottom of the screen, and they're proposing a little green space there, which staff would support. The rest is provided centrally located to the development, and that's staff's opinion at this time.
Okay, I don't see any other questions at this moment. Thank you so much.
Thank
Katie.
you.
Appreciate that. So we'll get into testimony. So Bonnie, you are up again as the applicant's representative. So if you could, again, just state your name, and then you will have 10 minutes for your presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, my name is Bonnie Layton with NV5. My address is 690 South Industry Way, Suite 10, Meridian, Idaho 83642. And again, I want to thank you for your time this evening and also for staff's time again, as we have worked really hard to bring forward this application for Peregrine West. And tonight I'm here to request your approval of annexation and preliminary plat for the development. Again, just quickly, the vicinity map, you can see that we are adjacent to Lake Avenue as well as Orchard. in this area. Let's see. And as Katie mentioned, we have Roper's Road, which will be along our northern boundary as well. To the west, there are some larger county parcels, but we're separated by the Phyllis Canal there on our western boundary. We do touch Peregrine Estates 8 and 9, and then obviously we have Peregrine East to the east of that. Again, you can see this map where the city limits currently are, where the red star right there, this project. So again, we are adjacent to city property. Here is an overlay of how our site plan fits into this project. So in our southeast corner, there's a county out parcel, and then to the east of our northern area, Peregrine number 8 and 9. We do have an out parcel at the northeast corner as well. But we've worked with that property owner in the past to do some property boundary adjustments. There were some concerns that property owner had, so we've taken it upon ourselves to make some adjustments for that to fit this development in and address those concerns. As you will see, our stub street to the north on Ropers connects into what's happening across Ropers in the previous Peregrine applications. Again, we are in a neighborhood 2 zoning designation. I won't spend much time on this, but again, allowing for a density of 2 to 8 units per acre. And on this particular development, north is to your left, we are proposing 2.71 dwelling units per acre. Again, we have the canal along our western boundary, which is on the southern edge of the image, and that will provide for a regional pathway. We felt that having some ample park area in there for people to recreate was very appropriate and really tied in well to the city's desire to have a network of regional pathways and amenities for folks. We do have some park space on the interior that would be more for our residents. And then we have some drainage pond areas that will be landscaped and managed in accordance with city code. So again, we tried to do some larger lots, really focused on not having a maximum density that would be allowed under the future land use map, and are requesting an R1 zoning designation. And then again, we exceed the amount of open space that is required per code for this development. Again, I will touch on the homes that are planned to be built in this. They would be 1 and 2 story homes, a variety of configurations. These lots are very wide that would accept 2 and 3 car garages, as you see in these images here. Here are some more depictions. So even the single-story homes, we've got lots that are wide enough to be able to have a 3-car garage, even with a single-story, and then also a 2-story, depending on what the buyers choose to build in this area. Again, these lots are larger than what we have in the Peregrine Estates projects. We feel like we've provided a really good buffer along our western boundary, along with the canal. So we've got this great amenity that's for the entire community. And then we also are mindful of the transition with the one out parcel to our southeast corner, having some wider lots there as well. So with that, I am happy to stand for any questions.
Okay, Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The southeast, I believe, is the top right there.
Yes.
That abuts those other outbuildings there. The parcels you showed us in your previous project were larger parcels that were abutting the residents there. Any reason we couldn't do the same thing with these parcels to create a little more of a buffer? I'll tell you the truth, I wish this one had the same density as the first one you presented to us.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Williams, that was not as much of a concern for that resident when we discussed this project. One of the things that you'll probably hear him testify about was the concern about flooding onto his property. There was some exchange in, originally there was like a road that came from Ropers that went down to that parcel. So there's been some trading, and perhaps the neighbor can speak more to that. His concerns were, when I spoke with him after the planning and zoning hearing, was irrigation water. He does experience some flooding. Part of his property is lower than Orchard Road, I believe. There's a lot of runoff that comes from Orchard. We have retention basins out along Orchard that will help mitigate some of that. His concerns were also, we'll be building a fence. He wanted to understand what that elevation would be. But I mean, certainly if that was something that you wanted us to look at, we could look at shifting those. There are some minimum lot sizes that we need to adhere to be compliant with this zoning designation. So again, we've exceeded the width on those, and there will be a fence, and then he's got a driveway along that western boundary of his parcel.
If I could, one more question. This is, I don't even know the context, but there was in staff's comments, someone asking about a sidewalk. Do you know anything about that?
Yes, so that is part of our neighbor's concerns. There was some history, and he provided some documentation. I think that is actually covered in the engineering staff report in terms about parcels. And what that does say is, if the city is able to obtain sufficient right-of-way along the frontage of this out parcel located in the south, it says southwest corner of the development, but that should be southeast. The applicant shall complete the road widening improvements referenced in the street section, item 1, across the Orchard Avenue frontage of said out parcel. If the city is not able to acquire the right-of-way, lesser improvements may still be required that fall within the prescriptive right-of-way on those out parcels. And so we are in agreement with that requirement from staff.
So there is a right-of-way question, and sometimes these things are easier than others to take care of the people around us and satisfy some of their requests. And I'm sure staff was involved in these right-of-way questions as well, but it just was something that piqued my interest in staff's presentation, and so I wanted to ask. Thank you.
Councilor Stoddard?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Could you bring up a map of the streets again on Lake Avenue and Orchard, please?
Is that a good one, or do you want that one?
The one before that, yeah.
Okay.
Now, are you aware that there's a small trucking outfit that operates on the east side of Lake and the north side of Orchard? Are you aware of that?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Stoddard, I am not aware of that.
Okay, and they, it's a small trucking outfit, but they haul ag products, potatoes, wheat, grain, all that stuff, and they leave at all mornings, all hours of the morning, all hours of the evenings. I just wondering whether your developer has taken that in consideration too.
Councilman Stoddard, of course, we know that there are existing activity in the area. So again, we worked with staff to take a look at the traffic patterns and how our connections to Orchard would be impacted by that. Our traffic engineers, they were the ones that looked at all of those conditions in the current traffic counts. I think having the cross connectivity through the adjacent development, as well as north up to Roper's Road, will give residents in this area a couple of alternatives, depending on which direction they're headed, to be able to navigate the area safely. And again, the frontage improvements along Orchard, I think, will really help that as well.
Is this in a Pioneer Irrigation District by any chance? Do we know that? I don't remember seeing that in there, but maybe I missed it.
No, it's the, I want to double check.
So Councilor Allgood is saying that it is.
Yeah, it is.
It is?
It is.
Because I've got some complaints from some people off of, let's see, it'd be South Florida, just north of Orchard, that their pressures are going down for irrigation, and especially during the day. Several homes have told me that they can't even get their pop-up sprinklers to pop up because of the water pressure. So, don't know whether you're aware of that or not either, but it's been a problem for the last 3 months.
Councilman Stoddard, I am not aware of that.
Okay.
There could be many, I'd hate to speculate on what is causing that issue.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Register.
Question. So in the previous application that was owned by Endurance Holdings, which is owned by Corey Barton, so this one is owned by a company called Open Door Rentals, and that is also owned by Corey Barton. Now, so I was just kind of doing some research on this, and it looks like the Open Door Rentals is a rental division of the bigger company, I guess. So are these going to be rentals in Peregrine West?
Mr. Mayor, Council or Register, it is my understanding these are for sale homes. I see that sometimes that a certain entity will initially purchase the property, but then it will change over. But it is my understanding that these are going to be for sale residential homes and not a for rent project.
Okay, it's just everything I'm reading about Open Door Rentals says that it is a rental component of CBH Homes. So, but we
To
don't
my
get-
knowledge, that is not the plan for this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councilor Allgood.
Yeah, Bonnie, would you give us a brief description of the improvements that'll happen on Orchard Avenue, where this one and the other subdivision exit onto Orchard?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Councilman Allgood. So what will happen is, and it's outlined in the city's engineering report, so we will have to, let me get to that. Full frontage half-street improvements shall be completed to all classified roads adjacent to the proposed preliminary plat in accordance with all City of Caldwell standards and specifications. Improvements shall include, but are not limited to, curb, gutter, sidewalk, asphalt, street lights, joint trench, spare communication conduit along classified roadways, storm drainage facilities, etc. So there's a very specific, detailed list of construction standards that we will have to build to, and that'll go along the frontage of this parcel. Obviously, we've been conditioned about the out parcel, which I read previously. Those improvements are also included in the Peregrine 8 and 9 parcel that's already been improved and annexed. We will have to include that in the out parcel that's adjacent to that, and then also along Peregrine East. So it's a pretty significant roadway improvement, and in that, we also have to make sure that we maintain irrigation water. However, it's whatever those improvements are, that we continue to deliver water down the line from us, if that makes sense.
So, just so I understand, so you would be putting curb, gutter, sidewalk the entire length of east, west, and 8 and 9, that entire section of Orchard Avenue would be improved on your side of the street? Is that what I'm understanding?
That is correct, and then there will be some semblance, depending on whether the city is able to, as the condition reads, able to obtain sufficient right-of-way along the frontage of those out parcels. So there will be some improvement. If they aren't able to obtain the full right-of-way on those parcels. I anticipate that there's enough room, and staff can probably speak better to this, that there would be at least full asphalt and probably curb and gutter.
Thank you, Bonnie. Council members, as Bonnie explained, there will be the full frontage improvements required. Regarding the parcel that is directly adjacent to the application before you, just to the east, we do not have the right-of-way for that parcel yet. However, I've made a note, depending on how this project proceeds, if it's approved, I will reach out to, staff will reach out to that property owner this week to start the right-of-way negotiations so that the out parcel can have the full frontage improvements. The out parcels over near Impact Lane, it appears that we have already obtained right-of-way in front of those.
Go ahead.
Excuse me, our web map shows that we have some right-of-way along Orchard Avenue in front of those out parcels. If that is inaccurate, if the map that I'm looking at is inaccurate, then we will only require the applicant to complete improvements up to 25 feet of road section. That is our prescriptive right-of-way.
But it's the applicant's responsibility to actually pay the cost of putting all that in, am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you so much, Bonnie.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. So we do have one individual signed up in neutral, Scott. I'm going to let you say your last name as well, so I don't butcher it. So if you don't mind coming to the microphone, if you could just state your name for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes for your testimony as well.
Hi, my name's Scott Glube. I live at 12814 Orchard Avenue. And I meant to be on opposition. Sorry, I signed the wrong sheet. But anyway, like I was last time. So back when Peregrine 8 and 9 was being approved and stuff, that's quite a while ago. That's when this document was brought to my attention, and I gave this at the Planning and Zoning. And on here, I've already signed a right-of-way for that, but I don't know if that applies. This carries to the new developer. So I've already signed that with a notary. So, but it's not that well, there's other things that was brought forth in this document too. They were going to do sewer and all that kind of stuff too, but that's when the services were going to be in Orchard Avenue, which they are not now. So my only question is this improvement going to happen? So for the sidewalk in front of my property, I mean, where you have so much development along Orchard, and there's going to be a nice sidewalk, curb and gutter, and then all of a sudden in front of my place, nothing if they don't do it. Then it goes down through 8 and 9 Peregrine, and then nice sidewalk and improvements, and then nothing in front of the other thing. I would think you would want the frontage of your developments to be more congruent. So to make it look a lot better, because otherwise there's all this breakup of property. So I think it's something that you guys should look at for future developments, especially if it's the same developer, that something like that gets done, at least so people can walk along the whole thing and not have to walk out in the street like they would in front of my place where there's sidewalks on both sides of me. Anyway, so, well, and we did have a meeting with them about irrigation. Ideas were talked about, but nothing has, no idea yet of exactly what they're going to do. But whatever they decide has to be done in Peregrine 9, which is already approved, and they're cutting in on 8. So it needs to be decided here pretty soon, because it affects what they're going to do in Peregrine 9, which they plan on starting this fall or next spring. So, but whatever they do affects all 3 pieces, all the way down to the drainage canal, because that's the lay of the land. So it needs to get decided on soon. So, and I would have asked for bigger lots next to me had I thought about or known I could do that. I mean, you suggested that. And that's a great idea, but I didn't think about that, and that would be very nice to have. But, and then my drainage issue that I've stated already, which is also in this agreement here too, that they were gonna take about.
And I appreciate it. And so obviously we can't speak to that right now, but we'd love
Right.
to have a copy of it. That's all right. And we can have our legal team and engineer look into that and see
Okay.
exactly what.
So a copy besides what I gave to planning and
Oh,
zoning?
so you already have, that copy's already been provided to planning and zoning?
At planning and zoning, I have another copy here.
Then we should have it already on file.
Mr. Mayor, it is actually in the packet as
Okay,
well.
so it sounds like we do already have it, so we can
Okay.
definitely research that and find out on that, so,
Okay.
okay. Thank you so much, appreciate
Yes.
your testimony.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Just a couple questions. if you don't
For
mind.
this gentleman?
It might, or maybe from staff. So the water issue that he's talking about where each of these segments are gonna work together, and we need to decide that soon. Has that been decided, or do we know, can we get him an answer tonight of what we're doing with that, or whether it hasn't been decided, or I guess I need more information on what he requested.
Councilman Doty and council members, I do not have any water and sewer plans in front of me right now, but if we were to explore having water or sewer extended and then irrigation water as well, so we can probably work towards providing water and sewer. I say probably because I'm not sure if that would need to be conditioned on the application. Regarding flooding, as part of frontage improvements, your flooding would be mitigated. As far as irrigation being supplied to your property, the applicant will be required per Idaho state statutes as well as per our staff report to continue any water supply for irrigation to the property.
So the flooding gets mitigated by a drainage pipe that's already there. But when they go and remove the irrigation ditch that's to the east of me, that goes away too. And that irrigation ditch acts as a dam, and that's why I have the flooding from runoff and everything. So the thing in that document that you guys have states that in there, that drainage needs to be provided. And we talked to the developer, but the plans aren't finished for Peregrine 9 yet. So none of this is designed yet. So they said they're working on that to submit to the city for Peregrine 9. So we don't know anything yet, so.
Okay, and we'll get more clarification from the developer when she
Right.
comes up for rebuttal.
So,
then-
and how can I check in with the city? Who do I call to make sure they're working on this in a timely manner? Who do I check in?
I'll let the mayor answer that one as to
Okay,
who he wants you to
all
call.
right, okay.
Yep, and that should probably be city engineering, I would guess, correct, Haley on that, so she's got her card for you right there.
Just one more, Mr. Mayor? You don't
What's
mind?
that?
Just one more?
Yeah.
So in that, I just want clarification. Sorry. In that document, does it say, I was a little confused, does it say we'll provide you sidewalks, or it says we won't, or can you just clear that up for me?
Yeah, so they would improve the front to keep it congruent with the improvements that they're
Understand
gonna do. Not necessarily all the landscaping, but they would do a nice sidewalk, curb and gutter, and take care of the flooding issue that I have. And then they were going to provide stub outs for sewer and water and stuff when those services were gonna be in Orchard Avenue. But they're not now, they're all coming from the north.
I'm with you.
Back behind us. So there is still a way for me to hook into sewer, but it's clear in the very back of my property, the very northeast corner, 436 feet away. So that's where a street's going to be, and there will be a manhole for me to tie in the future if I ever wanted to annex into the city. So that's the closest spot that they can give me without the services being out in Orchard, like they were going to be originally, and did not go through somebody else's lot.
And I understand that part. Now, let's get back to sidewalks for just a
Okay.
second.
All right.
So in your document, does it say, I get that not everything worked out quite the way the document says,
Right,
but in the document, does it say, we'll provide you sidewalks, or is this based off of whether or not we get some right-of-way purchased? Or we're showing that the right-of-way on our map is purchased?
Well, I
Or am I
signed
confusing those
over-
two things?
I
I'm
signed
just as
over the
confused. I just
right-of-way,
need some help.
45 feet of right-of-way in this document.
Okay.
I already signed that over, but that was with the other developer. And I don't know if that carries over to this developer. But back when Peregrine 8 was approved, this was done on the recommendation of the city. Because they wanted to keep the frontage, back then when they were talking about it, so people could walk down the street and not have to walk out into the street around small out parcels.
I'm just trying to make sure you get your sidewalk. If we told you you could have a sidewalk.
Well, that's what they talked about, so,
And
anyway.
it sounds like you need an answer whether your document's still good. And I don't, do we have someone that can answer that tonight? or
So we would
not?
need to look at, if it's a recorded document dedicating that property to the city for right-of-way, then yes, it would be effectuated. I don't know why it isn't showing up here.
Well, it
but if
was
it's a recorded
notarized,
document-
but I don't know if they took it and recorded it.
Mm-hmm.
But it is notarized, though.
Do you know Haley, or?
So the agreement that you're discussing was an agreement between you and the developer. The city
Okay.
was not the city did not participate in that agreement.
Right.
So I
Although
don't
the
believe.
city recommended it, though.
Yeah, so the
So-
city requires that the frontage along your property be improved per
Right.
Peregrine and per this current staff report.
Right.
So we will still need to have a warranty deed recorded to
Okay.
obtain the right-of-way.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and give you a call either tomorrow or the following day, and we can go ahead and get that process started so that we can get the right-of-way recorded and
Okay.
get those frontage
Well,
improvements.
And I want to do some improvements in landscaping and sprinkler and fencing, but I don't know if there's, land is going to be used for this. So I'm just trying to get that answer, so.
Mr. Mayor, I think I have enough I think the developer's probably got an idea of what I'm looking for, so.
Okay,
I'm
perfect.
satisfied at this point. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And just looking at, I was able to pull up the web map, and there is 50 feet of right-of-way that is located adjacent to the properties to the east. So it does appear there's a 50-foot right-of-way already dedicated there. So this would allow for the curb gutter sidewalk to go that entire stretch between all of them. Councilor Dittenberg, did you have a question?
I do have a question, Haley, I have a question for you.
So, sorry, is it for the person at the microphone? Can we release him, or? Okay. I think
Or
you're
do I
good.
need to
Yes,
stay
you can-
to add to it? So, no?
So I think you're good,
Okay.
so you can sit down.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Sorry, Councilor Dittenberg, go ahead.
So Haley, I have a question with regards to the frontage extending along there. I think it makes, a tremendous amount of sense to be contiguous. You drive through the city all the time and you see where a sidewalk ends into a weed patch, and that's because somebody decided not to develop. So, so having said that, as I look at this, how wide is Orchard? Is that 15 feet to center lane? Is that 30 feet? Because as I look at this here, the gentleman's approach looks like there may be some power poles and some other things in that approach. Would the city take that into consideration? And if they take that into consideration with a contiguous sidewalk, then is the developer required to make a curb cut, which is, 5 foot of asphalt into the property owner's drive? How does that work?
Councilman Dittenberg and other council members, anytime that there is a power pole that is going to conflict with the frontage improvements, it would be on the developer to move or relocate the power pole so that it is outside of those frontage improvements. We wouldn't do a curb cut at the location of a power pole. Instead, we would just have the applicant work with Idaho Power to move that power pole back out of those hardscapes.
Okay. No other questions? Excellent. Okay, so we will, the next person assigned to testify is Charity Jensen. So again, Charity, if you could just state your name for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes for your testimony as well.
Thank you. So my name is Charity Jensen. I'm on Impact Lane. Thank you again for hearing my concerns. After listening to the discussions, I feel I needed to ask a couple of questions. First of all, who's responsible for holding CBH accountable? Because what's been getting developed currently in Peregrine 9 and 8 is not what was approved by City Council. Right now, it feels as CBH is hoping no one notices the difference, but we notice. The community noticed, and I hope the council will too. it's not just a matter of disappointment, it feels like a disregard for the community and this council's own guidance. What a developer can say publicly, then do sometimes do behind the scenes is different. It undermines the trust we place in the process. So I'm respectfully asking, what safeguards are in place to help keep CBH accountable? Who checks the alignment between the plans and what's being developed, and what actions will be taken when the alignments don't exist? This isn't about opposition for the sake of it. It's about accountability, transparency, and preserving the integrity of the council's decisions and our neighborhoods. The other thing about the right-of-way, that was signed as a right-of-way to make the road bigger, not for having sidewalks. We actually develop, our front property is farmland, and we grow produce for our animals and hay for our animals. And we were talking about actually putting grapes out there. And so we were not going to sign another right-of-way. That 50 was only for the road to become larger. They said that they were gonna make it a 4-lane road at some point. And so, that is all. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question. Can you give us some examples of the things that they're doing differently or not adhering to?
So my neighbor back there, Betsy, we're on Impact. They're putting the houses a little bit closer together than they should be. She knows more about that than I do because I'm on the opposite side. I was just given notes to come up. If you would allow her to come up and speak to that, that would be great. But it's up to your guys' discretion.
Yeah, we'll definitely can have her come up and speak to that. So just, and you go ahead, sit down. So, and Rob and Haley, you can interject on here as well. So to the question about who follows up on those things. So once, if an approval is done by the council, then there is a order decision that follows that. And within that lists the requirements, the conditions of approval. And then, so when they do come in for like a preliminary plat application, and then the final plat application, that is reviewed by staff. So that'd be reviewed by planning and zoning staff as well as engineering staff to ensure that whatever conditions of approval were placed by the council are being implemented on the development itself. As far as the location of the homes, typically those are not shown on the preliminary plat or final plat, but as far as the size of the lots, the landscaping, things of that nature, the water, irrigation, those typically are shown. And so it is city staff that does review those and ensures that it complies with whatever requirements the council put on there and any additional requirements as well. Does that sound appropriate?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I just wanted to touch on as well, staff does review each building permit, and we do review all setbacks at that time. Peregrine Estates also has a long list of design requirements that we look for as well at building permit. So I just wanted to put that on the record. We do look at all of
So-
those things.
Question to that then, does somebody physically go out there and look during the process and check to make sure that everything's being followed?
Mayor and councilor, yes, that is correct.
Okay, so there hasn't been any concerns about the building that's gone on so far?
Not to my personal knowledge, no.
Okay. Yeah, Councilor
Just a
Doty.
recommendation, Mr. Mayor, if we have issues with 8 and 9, maybe we should discuss that outside of, are we talking about 7 right now? Do you see what I'm getting at? So I just don't want to confuse any facts from 8 and 9 in the record for 7. So thank you.
And but building on what Councilor Doty's saying, I'm wondering if there needs to be some confirmation on somebody go out on and check the ones that are being built right now to make sure some kind of report or just some kind of something that says that everything's being followed before we go approve more in case it's not.
Okay, thank you. And did you wish to speak? So yeah, if you don't mind, come forward and then just state your, I got your name in here, so I'll just put it on
Okay.
in opposition,
Betsy
correct?
Cermak, yes.
Okay, so we'll get that on
So
there.
a couple things. I know that you guys have mentioned the lot sizes, and that was what was not in the final for 9. The lot sizes were smaller, and she confirmed, I'm not sure who confirmed that they are smaller than what they asked for on the one we talked about tonight. So that's what did not, they weren't held accountable, I guess is where we're coming from, is because they said that they were going to be larger lot sizes in 9 at the time, and there's 5, just like there's 5 right now. And so it's not what was agreed upon, I'm guessing. And then something briefly I want to add to, when CBH came in 2023 and talked about the traffic, they said, we are going to put a turn lane in, which was part of the 50 feet.
Yeah, I believe there was another subdivision where there was a promise of something similar and it didn't happen. So I think the blame went on to ITD maybe or something like that. But promises that are made should be researched, I think, to make sure that they can be done first. So I appreciate you talking about all that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, and we can make sure the staff double checks on that and in those regards to those potential discrepancies and gets an answer back for council, so. Okay, that is all signed up on that, so Bonnie, if you'll come forward and for your 3 minutes for your rebuttal.
Good evening again, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Again, it's Bonnie Layton with NV5. Thank you again for your time this evening. I think this project and hearing the neighbors' testimony, especially with the frontage improvements, gives us a real opportunity to complete a pretty significant or substantial amount of frontage along Orchard. It sounds like the city has already obtained some right-of-way to our east. It sounds like our neighbor, Mr. Glube, is also willing to work with the city. So that's an exciting thing to hear for this project. Again, we are, I have heard all of the comments. We are on the lower end of the density range of this project. Let's see if I can just flip to the site plan. And really believe that this will be a great project for the entire community. I think just like the last project that we presented, there's a significant amount of regional connectivity that goes from Orchard up to Ropers that doesn't currently exist. The frontage condition along Lake, there's a lot of county parcels at the intersection of Orchard and Lake, and this will provide, I think, a very safe connection, pedestrian connection, and add to the network in the area. Again, these are larger lots, and we'll have 1- and 2-story homes. We will be fencing the entire perimeter of the site. The concerns about the drainage and some of the issues that Mr. Glube currently has will be fixed. Obviously, at this stage, we don't fully design all of the infrastructure. We are aware, and our engineers will work with the city staff as well as the irrigation district to make sure that all of the water, the irrigation flows appropriately, and that we have ample connectivity for the city's water and sewer services. And so with that, we really do appreciate staff's time and your time this evening, and are in agreement with the staff report and the conditions of approval, and request this evening for the approval of our project.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Any questions? Councilor Isher, do you have a question for Bonnie?
Yeah, real quick. I know you can't probably answer this for new homes all throughout Caldwell, but for Corey Barton homes, let's say, do you know, reference all the new homes that he's built in the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, maybe the occupancy rate?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Register, I could not opine on that.
So we couldn't tell how many of these that have been built in Caldwell are not occupied?
Yeah, I would be clearly speculating on that.
And then I'm looking at the website right now. Looks like these houses in Caldwell in another subdivision are all priced just trying to get my bearings here, over 360. So they're not really necessarily considered like entry-level homes.
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Register, I mean, yeah, and there's a lot of factors that go into the pricing of homes. I'm not sure where exactly you're looking. Lot size would be one of those, location, school district, adjacency to different services. It would be, again.
Which might make these even more expensive if the lot sizes are bigger. So I was just curious about the occupancy, really. I see a lot of empty homes, which is why I'm asking. So I just wanted to double check on that, but I don't have the numbers either, so thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other questions. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Okay, so with that, if there's no more questions for the public, ask for a motion to close public testimony. In a second?
Second.
Motion from Councilor Stoddard, and second from Councilor Doty. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. So with that, turn this over to council for, again, your deliberation, questions, or any motions. Councilor Alden.
Yeah, I had a question for Katie. Just to make sure, I think I know the answer, but just to make sure, when these lot sizes are presented to us in this hearing, after we vote, however that goes, these lot sizes can't be changed, am I correct?
Mayor and Councilor, that is correct. I know in the old code there was a section, and I may have to rely on Robin with the new code, but I know that there was a section that allowed a little bit of a change, a reduction, no more than 10% of the lot size required within the code, and that is mostly to allow if engineering has specific requirements that, storm drainage or any of those things need to be added, that allows for a little bit of wiggle room with the lot size, but that's the only thing that I'm aware of.
That's in our current code, or that's in the old code?
Mayor and Councilor, I know it was in the old code, the new code, as I said, Robin may have a better idea. We took it out.
Okay.
It is no longer in the code.
So I just want to address the people's concerns that if we say we're going to have an 8,000 square foot lot, we're going to have an 8,000 square foot lot. That's what I was after.
Mayor and Councilor Allgood, that's correct. We can go back and look at Peregrine, the original one, but I just looked it up, and that subdivision was approved back in 2007, and it's completely built out, so none of the planning staff that's currently on board now was here back then, so unfortunately, I don't know what their inspection mechanisms were, but I do know that we have put in place where we go out and look at those, and we even track the conditions on a spreadsheet per subdivision so that we can make sure that we're capturing those during construction drawings and building permits.
Okay. Thank you, appreciate that.
Councilor Register.
Yeah, so I have questions of staff, but this is going to be more about services, our services, so I'm just not willing to assume that this is an expectation that Katie has in her job, so I'm going to pick on you a little bit, Mayor, because I have some questions for you about our services. So, do you know, if we're looking at safety services, how many police officers we have?
So, Chief is here.
I want to know if you know, because we're talking about planning. And I think that these things are important when we're planning, when we're voting, that we're aware. So if you don't know, I'm looking at the website. It says we have 73 police officers. So that's on the Caldwell Police website. So if it's more than that now, or is that inaccurate? That's an accurate number, 70?
It is
it's more than that?
substantially more, I would say, yes.
Okay, we can, under 80?
No, it's 94.
And that's sworn police officers?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if we are always estimating that we have 77,000 people or so in the city, I guess. And at national standards, being one police officer for every 1,000 people, then we should have more police officers than we do. That's not correct? Okay, so based on the number of people that we're expecting to come into Caldwell after everything that we've approved over the last 4 years that's still to be built, how many police officers do we need to meet that national standard?
So, those questions would be, I don't know, Chief, you want to come forward? So you would take, I mean, if you want to, it'd be 77,000
No, I just want to
times
know if
1.3.
this is including, if this stuff is included when we're talking about planning. So when applications come in, are we taking these things into consideration and looking at the numbers and saying, this is how many cops we have right now, this is our projected population, this is what we're projecting our population to be in 5 years based on the number of doors that we have coming, and will we have enough police officers in 5 years as we stand right now?
Mr. Mayor, Council Register, that's a great question. So we did a PAM study about a year ago, and as it stands right now with the current population, for until 2029, we're down 30 officers in patrol.
Okay, so if you're already down 30 officers,
That's for the next 5 years.
right, so you're already down 30 officers based on the population we have currently, or what we think the population
Correct.
is currently, right? So if we're going to add 10, 20, 30,000 people, I don't have a calculator in front of me, I could probably get it, but if we add 10,000 people, then how many cops do we need to
So that
essentially
number,
add for the
that number
national
is with the expectation that it's going to grow
Mm-hmm.
to that number. So the 30 is not just for this year.
Okay.
It's for the next 5 years with the growth according to the study.
Okay, so only up to the 5-year mark?
Correct.
Okay, so anything over the 5 years is something we still have to consider,
Correct.
basically, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So so I guess the question I have when it goes back to these developments, and this is probably not a question for you, but since you're standing there, I'm just looking out that way, but when these developments come in, is there anything that says, okay, Chief says we're 30 officers behind right now up until 2030, or 2029, whatever it is, 2030, and so anything that's going to be built and occupied after 2030, that we need to add more cops to it, right? So already we're behind 30, plus we need to add whatever's coming after 2030.
Yes, I mean,
Okay.
with a growing community, you have to have more resources, but
Correct.
we're trying to leverage technology so we can minimize that footprint of resources and doing the most we can with what we
Right.
have.
I understand that, but to meet national standards, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
So so again, this is not really a question for you, but more for you. Do we have anything in the application process that says to council, this is where we're at with our services, that here's our 5-year projection, like he just said, for fire, we know about Valley View and what they've said. Do we have anything like that that talks about our services and the potential strain on services and the potential cost to taxpayer to hire however many more officers that is not included in impact fees?
So within the comprehensive plan, it does talk about public safety in that regards. And then, as was stated, so we do have those officers today, so that is projected. So every year, we look at those projections of, our population. Did it increase as much as we expected? Did it increase less? And so then that's where you would base those numbers off of. It could be 5 years from now, it could be what we expect, it could be significantly less. So you hire those officers. That's presented to the council during the budget workshops each year of the number of police officers, number of firefighters that we need to have and hire for that coming year to make sure we're keeping pace with the growth that we're experiencing. And so that way you're able to have those accurate numbers rather than just, we're going to hire 30 officers no matter what from now till 2029. But let's say growth slows, and now
So-
we sit at 30, we need 20. So those are looked at every year from council, and when it brings forward in the budget to determine what is the actual number, what was the actual growth rate, what do we expect for the next year in that regards. And then again, in the comprehensive plan, there's a section, if I'm not mistaken, and Robin can help address that, that does discuss public safety and the needs and concerns there to ensure that that's being met through the comprehensive plan as it comes forward.
Okay, never mind.
Okay, any other questions or any motions or
No,
any?
I think
Yeah.
that's correct. I'm not quite understanding the analogy, because if we have 77,000 people but 93 police officers right now, that should be pretty accurate and pretty close.
Correct.
So we wouldn't just add police officers if the population hasn't increased. So, okay, thank you.
Yep. Hey, any other questions, discussions, or any motions? Councilor Dittenberg.
Mr. Mayor, based upon the findings of facts and conclusions of law, I make a motion that we approve case number AN 25-5, SPP 25-4, and approve the annexation and the preliminary plat with the conditions outlined in the staff report.
Perfect. So do we have a motion for approval of the request? Do we have a second? So that motion was from Councillor Dittenber and a second from Councillor Allgood for approval. Any discussion on that motion?
Mr.
Councillor
Mayor,
Doty?
just one, just because east is now, I don't want it to make it look awkward, but because east is now that way, this, to me, this clearly fits in the area now, so thank you.
Okay, very good. Any other discussion? Councillor Allgood.
Yeah, I just wanted to say two things why I supported this decision. And Mr. Tillmont is, in my opinion, very correct in that we need to be concentrating on infill and not expanding our city limits. And the only reason that I was a yes vote on the other one and I seconded this vote was because this is all part of one parcel. I'm not, because I agree, we need to cut out expansion and stay with infill. And then the second thing is, I appreciate the low density. If this were going to be any kind of multifamily or jammed together lots, I would be a definite no. But the fact that we get lower density out there, especially in this area of our city, I consider this a plus. Anyway, I just wanted to add that to that.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you so much. So with that, voting is open at this time. And all votes are cast, so voting is closed. And that motion passes with 4 in favor, 2 in opposition. Councillor Stoddard and Councillor Register did vote in the negative, with the other 4 council members voting in the positive. So that does pass. So stand for a motion to close this public hearing. And so it's a motion from Councillor Stoddard and a second from Councillor Doty. All those in favor say aye. Aye. That motion passes. And that'll move us into action item number 6. Again, this is housekeeping for the annexation that was just approved. So looking for a sponsor, bill number 33, ordinance 3685. Councillor Dittenber.
Mr. Mayor, I'll sponsor bill number 33, ordinance 3685, associated with the annexation, and move for its passage by title only and approve the summary for publication.
Thank you so much. Do we have a second? So it's a motion from Councillor Dittenber and a second from Councillor Williams for passage of Bill 33, Ordinance 3685 as outlined. Any discussion on that motion? With that, voting is open at this time. And all votes are cast. The voting is closed, and that motion passes the same as the previous with 4 in favor, 2 in opposition. And that moves us into item number 7, Finance Report. Councillor Stoddard.
The Finance Committee received current accounts payable amount of $2,930,571.70 for the period ending July 15th, 2025, and net payroll of $816,582.73 for pay period ending June 28th, 2025. I move that the accounts payable in amount of $2,930,571.70 represented by checks number 186,956 through 187,218 in electronic payments and payroll for the amount of $816,582.73 represented by check numbers 40,011 through 40,032, and direct deposits be accepted, payments approved, and vouchers filed in the office of the city clerk.
Do you have a second? Second. Motion from Councillor Stoddard, second from Councillor Allgood. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. That'll move us now into council comments. We're going to start with Councillor Williams this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, you caught me off guard there. Just a couple of things by way of a positive. I was approached by somebody yesterday who's a Caldwell resident who just bragged a little bit on the city of Caldwell and how they perceive Caldwell just continuing to become a greater and greater city. A comment that was akin to they never would have imagined 5 years ago, this city being what it is today, and look at it now. And I appreciate that because I think they're correct. I also wanted to mention a great article about the Blessing Box, another good thing in the city of Caldwell. So many, just thought I'd highlight a couple today. And of course, that's at our police department and sits inside our lobby. And the article did it some justice. But the article also brought to mind Liz Godina, our victim witness coordinator. Her partner is Heather Longoria. And those two ladies do a tremendous task that I would venture to say most people couldn't do, and they do it very well. Just so many good things in the city of Caldwell. I want to continue to highlight the positive, and I'm thankful for the good city that I live in, and appreciate our community.
Thank you so much. Councillor Allgood.
I did over Councilor Williams, other than that, I'm good.
Okay, Councillor Dittenber.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I want to make a point to thank Mr. Porter for his remarkable prayer and his remarkable acknowledgement that the city of Caldwell is doing great things. We are doing great things. There are great people here. And for those of us who remember Caldwell 15 years ago, we had names for this community. And now we have titles for this community, a great community, a destination community. And I just wanted to, kind of along Councilor Williams' lines, just on the way over here, I met Councilor Doty on the bridge, and I was talking to one of the great citizens of our community who sent me a text right before the meeting started. And he said, I'm so glad I moved to Caldwell. The more I explore Caldwell, the more awesome it gets. And so I appreciate the city staff who work diligently to make Caldwell a great place, and the council members who labor and weigh discussions and weigh issues before them seriously, and everybody who's sitting here that I see you everywhere. Thank you for making Caldwell a great community.
Thank you. Councillor Doty.
I would just echo those, Mr. Mayor, that our staff sometimes has to answer really difficult questions, and they do a very nice job, and we appreciate all their efforts and their work. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stoddard.
Ditto, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Register.
Sorry, I've got a few things. I've sent you some emails and I haven't had some answers yet, so I'm just gonna go through them real quick. So the quiet zone, we're hearing more and more about that because the news did an article. I know that we had set some money aside, so a couple of questions about that. Does the project itself still have to be approved? Does it only come up in budget? And for finance, is that money that's set aside, can that be used for, or reallocated for something like the animal shelter?
So the Quiet Zone project is funded from general fund balance. It's a transfer into street fund. Based on my understanding, we are not going to be hiring an outside contractor to do some of these. I believe the street department would be doing some of the mitigation to help implement the Quiet Zone. That's why the cost is so much lower than the original $4 million that was quoted to us. And so it depends on if those purchases meet the $50,000 threshold of whether or not they would come to city council. It is in the budget. It is part of the budget. I have not received I have not received very much input on whether or not any direction on any recommendations on the budget. And so the budget that was presented to you in the workshop hasn't been changed drastically. And so
I guess I'm just wondering, is it in the right fund to, like, if we decided we wanted to use it for the animal shelter instead, would that be available?
It comes from the general fund, so it is a transfer from the general fund to the street fund to fund those improvements. Speaking with the mayor, we have set aside an amount within the general fund to fund the animal shelter. I know there's further discussions on the amount, but we did set an amount aside in the general fund to fund that. So,
but the money that's set aside for the Quiet Zone can be used elsewhere if that's what the council decided.
If that's what the council decided, yes.
Thank you. So I guess, Mayor, is that I'm hearing and I'm reading a lot of concerns that Union Pacific themselves have about quiet zones. So is this something that we can discuss still, or is it set in stone, or I don't understand exactly, but that news article basically made it sound like we are moving forward no matter what, and I don't remember having that conversation.
Yeah, so I have not seen the article on that, so I know that I was forwarded it today, just have not had the chance to review it and see what was said and all that regards. But yeah, it's ultimately up to the council through the budget to allocate those funds for that. I know that it's been discussed for quite some time. There's been, I mean, the train coming through downtown, it affects the movie theater, it affects the new apartments, it affects the businesses, it affects the Destination Caldwell, thank you so much, Indian Creek Plaza, it affects the wonderful Latino night market that's going on. And so it has a lot of benefits throughout the entire downtown and even beyond that. So, but again, it's ultimately up to the council. Final approval has not been given on the budget yet. That'll come next month. And so that can always be changed, allocated differently by the council, but
Well, I would like to hear from the public on this. I'd like to get the feedback officially in a meeting. So is there a way to set something like that up? Or do they just come and testify during, do they just come and testify during the
so the budget, they could come
time?
and when the budget comes forward, that is a public hearing. So
Okay.
yes, they could come and speak at that time and state.
Okay, because I just, like I said, I've been doing a lot of research looking at the statements by Union Pacific themselves. I have some concerns about the safety. I would like to talk about that. So is that the only time we will be able to do that?
That would be the appropriate time to
Okay.
do that.
All right, and then I've had a couple of requests from residents who live on Blaine and Cleveland. I guess it's between 10th and 21st, where the speed limit goes up from, I think it goes up from 25 to 35, I think in there. And
Yes, right around 12th Avenue.
okay, so I did confirm that that's a residential area, and I was looking at some of these, I'm just sort of finding what I'm finding online, that residential areas are supposed to be 30, and wondering if we can have a discussion about either checking to make sure we're within whatever the state says we're supposed to do. Like I said, I don't know if we can just change it based on like ordinance, or if it's appropriate to lower the speed limit in there between, like I said, 10th and 21st in the historic district on Blaine and Cleveland. So I don't know how you.
Yeah, and you
how to
want to
do
be
that.
cautious on lowering speed limits below what the median would be. You can say there's typically 70% to 80% of the people are going to drive the speed, whatever the speed limit is. And so if you artificially lower it below what that natural level is, you can actually create more, right? It seems like you're creating a safer environment. You can actually be creating a less safe environment in that regard.
Right, but what I'm reading here is it says the maximum speed limit on residential roads in Idaho is 30 miles an hour.
And that could depend, I mean, if that's, we have our own, typically in residential neighborhoods, it's 25 miles per hour, not 30. And every street's looked at different, the boulevard, that is an arterial roadway. Yes, there are residential areas along there. However, it functions much differently than the typical residential street. Because if you think of your neighborhoods that you live in, you don't have what you have on the boulevard. It's very, very different. You don't have two lanes of traffic going each direction as you do on the boulevard. They're just separated. And so each street section is looked at independently. There's a traffic commission that meets, is it quarterly, Mr. McDonald, or is it monthly? Or Haley? Quarterly, that meets quarterly to review if there's concerns regarding speed limits, intersections, things of that nature that they'll review. And that committee, or that traffic commission is comprised of the city engineer, the police chief, fire chief. There's a citizen that's part of that commission as well. I think the planning and zoning director. Is there anybody else that I'm missing that sits on that?
Okay, well, I just wanted to let you know that I've had some complaints from residents in there about the speeding and stuff like that. So if there's anything that can be done about that, maybe.
Yeah, and they
I
can
don't
look at
know.
that, and there's a good chance if you lowered it too much, you'd probably get more complaints on the other end. So we want to make sure we get that happy medium.
Well, we want people to be safe. Too.
Yes, we do.
There's a lot of,
Definitely.
it gets a,
And they
there's
can
a
look at
lot
that and
of-
see what is the safest speed
I'd
limit
be
for that
curious what
area.
kind of accidents and things like that happen in there. But, and then another question, Milagro subdivision. So we talk a lot about having our communities all connected and all that kind of stuff. But apparently the city has closed the access gate or the gate to the access path where the kids walk to school. And so apparently the HOA does not see the same safety issues that the city says there is with all the construction. And apparently they talked to Valley View, who doesn't also have an issue. So they're wondering if they can get that access gate opened back up, because if not, then the kids have to walk out onto Indiana and take a bus that takes about 30 minutes or so, where they could just walk. But of course, the construction and more growth has limited that subdivision from having that benefit, so.
And where is
Something-
Milagro? I'm not familiar with that. Where is that?
Well, it's gonna be Valley View School District, so I'll have to look it up here. Indiana and,
Okay,
oh, yeah.
so we could
That's
have
right.
staff look into that and see what's going on with
That
that.
would- Yeah, that would be great. If there's not they're trying to get something done before school starts, if possible.
So, yeah, we can have
Okay.
staff look into that, find out. So,
I think that was it.
okay, very good. So the only thing that I had was just to check, I know I saw a few head nods, but just wanted to get council's, I guess, temperature on a potential workshop regarding the sign code. If you would like for us to schedule that, we can sometime the next month or so. And we can talk offline as well. I know there's a few yays, a few nays, and so we can look into that further. So I may just follow up with y'all and just kind of see where you're at in regards to that, if you want to move forward with a workshop to discuss that. And that's really all that I have. Again, just thank you everybody for being here. For the public that came out, we do need to go, yes, and do an executive session. So if you have that motion.
Ready, Mr.
Yep.
Mayor? Let me find out where it's at. Mr. Mayor, make a motion that the Caldwell City Council convene into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74206, identifying one or more of the specific paragraphs. Well, that tells me which one it is. Do we know which paragraph it is tonight, Mr. Counselor?
Yes, D and F.
Paragraphs D and F.
Very good. Do we have a second?
Second.
So it's motion from Councilor Doty, second from Councilor Williams to go into executive session. Do we have that up on the, can we do a roll call vote?
Counselor Doty?
Yes.
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Static?
Yes.
Counselor Register?
Yes.
Counselor Allgood?
Yes.
Counselor Dittenberger?
Yes.
That motion passes. So we are going into executive session. So thank you again to everybody for coming this evening. Appreciate you taking the time.